Hello, hello, everybody out there, all my seers out there, and everybody on YouTube land. This is your king of Call It Like We See It, Call It Like I See It, and we come to discuss some things. Look at your neighbor, say, yes, it's time to discuss some things. I know y'all have been watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. This has been a good season, a season of many snake gates and things of that nature, and it was a pretty decent season, I must say so myself. But we're going to come and discuss the part one of the reunion that was on Zoom. Yes, they had a virtual reunion. You know that we going through this thing, this virus, COVID-19, so they couldn't meet up in person. So they decided to not stop the show, which I love, and give us a virtual reunion. I must say, when I first heard of it, I was a little skeptical. I was like, is it going to be clear? Is they going to be able to get their points across? Are we going to understand how they're going to edit them on pretty much FaceTime as a group? Pretty much the Brady Bunch. Because if you remember, you recall the Brady Bunch opening, how they was on top of one another in squares. Yes, that's exactly the feel that it gave me, but filled with glamour, lace fronts, lashes, and makeup and couture outfits. And I was living for it all. They touched on some things. They touched on friendships. They touched on Kenya relationship. They touched on her marriage. They touched on Nene and Wendy, and we are going to begin to discuss some things that we noticed, because over here we call it exactly like we see it. And I want to point out one thing that I noticed. I'm not going to be biased. This is a channel where we aren't biased, and it doesn't matter. I like every one of the girls on the show. I think they all beautiful and bring something to the show, where a lot of them does. But I'm going to call it, no matter how much I like Nene or Kenya or Portia, I'm going to call it exactly how I see it. And one of the things that I want to point out is Portia. Portia felt the need to defend Nene so much on this reunion. The part where Nene says she didn't call Cynthia a punk. Where Kenya said Nene didn't call Cynthia a punk, when Nene admitted that she did. I have a problem with that. How are you going to say someone didn't do something when the person themselves, right after you go and try to defend somebody so much before letting people talk and getting the full thing out? When Andy asked her, she said yes, she did. So she admitted it herself that she called Cynthia a punk. So we know that Portia be talking out the side of her neck when she be trying to defend Nene just because they made up. Let's not forget when Portia was on her confessional, and she said that Nene did not call Kenya baby a buffalo. Well, they recap the situation, and we can clearly hear and see Nene say that Kenya is giving birth to a buffalo. See, Nene loved to have the friends in her life that never hold her accountable. And for Portia to sit there and lie for someone because she made up with them after they dogged her out, then that lets us know what kind of character she has. Or maybe she needed an alliance. We know that the only main characters on the show, the main characters is Cynthia, Kenya, Nene, Candy, and Portia, and Eva. Well, if you think about it, Candy, Cynthia, Kenya, and Eva are close. So that only leaves you Nene and Portia. And even though Portia may be cool, she's still not close with Candy, Cynthia, or Eva, or Kenya. So of course, to secure her spot on the show, she's going to make up with Nene so she can have an alliance just in case those girls decide that they don't want to deal with her no more. Yes, them girls move very, very, very prestigious. And when Nene said that she liked Ken better than Kenya because Ken shut the F up, you have Portia saying, oh, that was a compliment. How is that a compliment saying you like Ken because Ken shut the F up. You are insulting somebody, but of course, because she need an alliance and they already came into the reunion as they gonna have each other back. Trust me, just like they try to put the other girls on blast, you can bet your dollar that Portia and Nene, if you pull up them phone records, you will see texts and plots with them allegedly, where I'm saying how I feel that that's how it is, because that's how I know that what they do. They talk and they already planned to have each other's back because they felt like that the other girls was going to have each other's back. And I'm not saying nothing wrong with it, because on these shows you need alliance, but don't throw the rock, try to expose other people or say what other people do when you do it yourself. It clearly shows. And this made me even question, was Portia and Nene beef fake the whole time? You may ask me, why do I question that? And I'm going to tell you exactly why I question if they beef was fake the whole time. The reason why I question that is because Nene has been the meanest and cruelest to Portia out of all the women on the show, but she's so forgiving, but not with Eva. Look at your neighbor and say that's hypocritical. You can forgive Nene for calling you Miss Piggy. Nene has called and said things about you, sent you a cease and desist, or whatever it's called, but you want to be so forgiving, but you trying to find every reason in the world to be mad at Eva. Well, she says she's mad at Eva because Eva had her child name in her mouth, where Eva said that the little beautiful baby girl was Dennis in a bow. And Portia had an extreme problem with that. We already touched on it. I feel like it's weird that she would have a problem that someone would say that her daughter looks like her dad in the boat. And I already told y'all how I felt about that. Maybe she don't feel like Dennis is attractive and she don't feel that way, and that's why she's getting so mad. But when Eva pointed out that Nene has said that the baby looked like Dennis plenty of time, she had nothing to say about that and tried to carry on her beef with Eva. And I say, look at your neighbor, we're going to call it like we see it, and say you can't hold one friend to standards that you don't hold all your friends to. If Nene has called your baby Dennis so many times, then what is the difference between Eva saying that she looked like Dennis in the bow? Why Nene can dog you to filth, rag you out, call you Miss Piggy, say that your daughter look like her dad, and it be okay, but you want to have a problem with Eva so bad? Looks like Portia is Nene's new lapdog. And I'm just going to keep it real, because the facts are the facts. No matter how much y'all try to twist it up or come in, oh, this and that, or this and that. And you can go and jump in the pool with the statement of they talk about each other, because they tried to do that whole mind trick of saying, oh, well, we talk about each other to make the fact that Nene dog her out less significant and less impactful, when we all know that Nene was the one that started the beef between them two. Yeah, y'all talk about each other, but you talked about Nene once Nene crossed you. Don't act like y'all was just openly talking about each other. You was responding to being mad at Nene, but now that y'all have made up and got alliance with each other, you trying to rub or put whatever she's done under the rug when it's been worse than any of the other women on the show. And another receipt is how you and Kenya was doing fine. You was coming back and flipping on your girl Eva, telling Kenya what Eva said, but now you have a problem with it, and it seemed like the only reason why you have a problem with Kenya is because you and Nene made up, and you trying to take up for Tanya, who I feel is not a good personality for the show. Hence the awkward shade that she was trying to throw last night, but didn't work. So I'm just saying, you have to keep it fair across the board. The same standards for everybody. So I feel like if she's so in a rush to forgive Nene, and at the beginning of the season she was talking so much trash, and then all of a sudden they made up, then I feel like maybe they plan to have beef so they can have a storyline with each other on the previous seasons, and now that they tired of having beef, they put up a plan to all of a sudden make up. Look at your neighbor and say, I sense and I discern fakeness. We know these women would do anything to have a storyline. Yes, and so we go on, and then it goes to Kenya recapping about her marriage. And we all know that Mark is an asshole, and I feel like people love that Mark is an asshole to Kenya because they don't like Kenya, and I don't understand, because I like Nene and Kenya, but I want you to look at your neighbor and say Nene does just as much as Kenya does. Nene go below the belt just as low as Kenya does. So why hold Nene to a different standard and allow her to be able to do anything to talk on people's marriages and relationship, but Kenya, when she does it, she's just a horrible person? Look at your neighbor and say we have to stop the double standards. And I'm going to call it like I see it with Kenya. I feel like Kenya shouldn't be making up this, trying to take up for her husband, who is clearly an asshole. And I'm going to call it like I see it. It was a episode of Watch What's Happen Live with Sheree and the Mark guy, and I feel like he was out of pocket. I feel like he was wrong. I feel like that's his name. I don't know, but I care not to know, but I'm going to call it like I see it. He said that we know that Mark is the asshole, but we know that Kenya is a lot to deal with. So are you telling me that you are condoning a man being verbally abusive towards his wife and being an asshole towards his wife because you feel like you don't like her because she read you a couple of times? What kind of man can sit there and condone another man being an asshole and treating his wife wrong? Nothing. It doesn't matter. You are less than a man to me for you to sit there and condone a man treating a woman like trash just because of your personal feelings about her. A lot of people don't like Nene. A lot of people don't like Candy. A lot of people don't like Portia, but I don't think they're wishing that they be treated like trash or done wrong by Todd or done wrong by Dennis or done wrong by Greg. I don't see it, and you are wrong, and we're going to call it like you see it. You are sick to sit there and condone a man treating a woman like trash. How do you treat your woman if you even have one? But it's okay. Get out of here with that. I'm not loving that. And I want Kenya to wake up and see that she can do better. She don't have to allow no man to sit there and treat her like that. And I am upset with her that she would even allow someone to treat her like this on camera. None of these women deserve to be treated like that. I wouldn't want any of their husbands or spouses to treat them in any way other than like a queen. I don't care what the character persona that they have to portray on the show for ratings and to get to the next season. But I want all of them to be treated like the queens that they are. Every one of their husbands should be treating them good because you knew who you was marrying before you married them, unless you was trying to get on what? The come up. But I must say, since we got Miss Portia taking up for Nene, I'm so glad that Candy had Kenya back and she stood up for her. I'm happy about that because I feel like if Nene gonna have a vouch person or a safety guard or a bodyguard or a spokesperson, then Kenya can have the same thing. Like I said, it should be fair across the board. It should be fair across the board. How can Nene say, and then you're gonna say that Nene gonna come out of her mouth and say that Kenya is getting karma because of her marriage? because she spoke on other people's marriage. But if we rewind the seasons and we look at previous interviews, she has spoke on other people's marriages and relationships too. And that's why I was happy when Cynthia came out and said, "Well, Nene, you said that me and engagement is Mike's engagement is fake." Oh, she got offensive, then said it's not about me, but it is, because you just said that Kenya was getting karma for talking on other people's relationship and marriages when you have done the same thing. Look at your neighbor and say, that's where the hypocrite come in and the double standards come in. You can't hold these ladies accountable for things that you don't hold yourself accountable for. You can't sit there and complain about what they do when you do the same thing. But when you are called out, you have to justify it. It's justified. Just like when Andy said you talked about this girl's child, Kenya's child, and you said you would do it again. But you went off on Sheree for talking about your kid. Once again, we're going to call it exactly like we see it and say we have to get rid of the double standards. The double standards that you saying they have for the other girls is the double standards that they really have for you, i.e. Portia. Come on, i.e. Tanya. And even i.e. Cynthia. No, this is not no get on Nene, but I have to call it like I see it. Y'all can be mad. I love Nene. I want her back next season, but this season I'm calling it exactly like I see it, and it's double standard. She wants to be held to another standard that the girls aren't held. She wants to be the reigning queen, and she wants to be treated like the queen, and that's why she has a problem. You know what I mean? Like, you want to play victim. And you can't say that. But I am happy. You know, there was a moment in there with Eva. They was called out for the nappy girl comment that she said, and I do feel, you know, Kenya spoke out and said, as a dark-skinned woman with coarse hair, I can understand why people felt some kind of way, but I do understand where Eva was coming from. She is black, and just because she's light-skinned doesn't mean that she doesn't have nappy head. See, people show how ignorant they really are when they try to do this black police stuff on people, when just because you're light-skinned doesn't mean you automatically have curly and straight hair. I know a lot of light-skinned women and men out there that have just as nappy heads as what society thinks that all dark-skinned people have. Just because she said nappy doesn't automatically equate to black. So I do not understand why it was a big deal, and why I understand a little bit because of what Kenya said, but I do not understand it at the same time. I feel like Kenya was reaching, because it's more than just dark-skinned women having nappy hair. And just because she is light-skinned and her hair appears at that moment to be slick, or doesn't mean she didn't put products on it to make it that way. So once again, like, the double standards. Not all dark-skinned women have nappy hair. Some dark-skinned women have curly hair. My sister is dark as a chocolate Hershey cup, Reese's cup, Hershey bar, and has curly silk hair. So for y'all to be trying to get on Eva about that, you putting all dark-skinned women in the box and all black women in the box that they have nappy hair, when that obviously not true. They talked about Wendy. How, you know, they asked about Nene, how she felt about Wendy saying she that over there chick. And I must say, Wendy did have a lot to say, and I feel like that was a little bit too shady for someone that you consider your friends, saying that you up here because you on the talk show. You did her a favor by talking to her on camera, and that she is a girl over there. Yes, she did dog you out, and I feel like, Nene have a problem with them asking about Wendy, but as I recall, this is the reality show, so this is about every aspect of your life, and I feel like the girls think that they should just cover the things that they show on camera. No, if you a reality star, it's about your reality, and Wendy is a part of your reality. And you not having anything to say is very hypocritical, because let one of the girls on the show say one thing, you are ready to clap back either on your YouTube channel or either on your social media. But when Wendy does it, you want to have these newfound morals. But why not use the morals for everybody in your life? Look at your neighbor and say double standards. Candy called out how she thought Wendy and Nene relationship was strategic for Nene. She felt like Nene became Wendy's friend because she's on a level. She's a talk show host, and she felt like that would make Nene look good. And I'm not going to lie, I feel like that is what Nene has done, because she loves to be the one that is the center of attention. And the reason why I feel like that, I'm not saying because she's friends with Wendy, because I feel like you can be lower than somebody and be on friends with someone on a higher level with you, or someone who is famous. I feel like a person not famous can be friends with someone who is famous without an alternative motive. But the reason why I say it was very strategic, because when it came time for them to show us how true and close their friendship is, they failed epically. I feel like Wendy throws shade at Nene because she knows, she feels in her heart that Nene is being friends with her strategically, so that's why she be friends with her and go kiki and holla to get out of her what she need, but then throw shade and talk about her the next moment. I feel like Nene is delusional to even think that Wendy is her true friend when Wendy dogged her out the way that she did. But I feel like, because like Candy said, because she don't want to lose the friendship, and because it's beneficial to her, and because she know that if she talk against Wendy can dog her out, then I feel like that's why she's being quiet. Sometimes when other people know things about you that other people don't, you can't really say anything against them, even when they go against you, because you don't want it to come out whatever they know about you. And that's just it. People are very strategic. People become friends with people just to become friends. But a lot of people in the industry is very strategic about who they become friends with, because they feel like they can get something out of it. And as we can see, that Wendy being friends with Nene helped Nene out more than it helped Wendy out. I feel like Portia fighting Nene's case about her apology being sincere was bull. Once again, you trying to have somebody back who dog you out just because you're trying to build an alliance or whatever plot and scheme that y'all have came up with for next season. But you're being very hypocritical, and you're looking like a fool trying to take up for Nene saying that her apology was sincere when it really wasn't, because as we recall and as receipts show, before the reunion aired and after they was filming, Nene was on quite a bit of a few interviews, and on those interviews she said she didn't even want to apologize. She don't know why she had to apologize, and she didn't really mean the apology. So how can you sit up here and look like a fool once again for somebody that dogged you out in your most vulnerable moments in your life and say her apologies was sincere when she said out of her mouth that they wasn't? Then you say she didn't talk about Kenya's baby when she did. So why are you trying to defend somebody who is clearly guilty? That's like somebody murdering somebody else, and you know that they murdered that person, but you sit up there and lie because of the alliance that you have with them. Come on, Portia, I thought you was better than that. No, I do not want you to be at odds with Nene. Y'all can be cool, but don't flip the strip. Don't do what y'all blame Cynthia for doing all these seasons and do it yourself. Hypocrite. We're going to call it like we see it. We're going to call it exactly like we see it. Let's talk about the receipts. We had a moment with Kenya and Portia was going back and forth. You know, Kenya had proof of, you know, Nene trying to go against Portia because she got on The Apprentice and stuff. Portia got mad because their friendship is being put on the forefront and people got receipts to show that they're not really as good of friends as they claim to be, and that is very strategic on why they link back up, because they have left within the group of main cast members. The friend of the show is important, but they don't really matter as much as the main characters. We know that when a group of women get together, they can ice someone out, as we seen over there on VH1. You know how they did Brandy Maxwell, how they iced people out. We seen it done before, how they tried to do Lisa Vanderpump on Beverly Hills. So we know that a lot of these women try to have alliance because they know that they can be X out if the women don't want to film with them, as we know that word on the street that Portia did to Nene. That's why in her confessional she tried to say, you know, we talk about each other, I didn't want you on the show yet, because you know that it's going to come out that you was plotting to not have Nene back. But anyway, Portia said that she had receipts on Kenya talking about Cynthia during the season, saying that she know what she doing and she coming for her. But when it was time to produce the receipts, Kenya could not show the receipts. Listen, don't say that you got receipts just to try to get in somebody's head like you were trying to do Cynthia. If you're not going to be able to produce the receipts that you're speaking of. We know the oldest trick in the world is to say that you got receipts about something so the people that's involved can be thinking in their head or be confused. And in this sense, so Cynthia could second guess and second think and think that something is going on. But I'm glad that Cynthia stood her ground and knew that her friend wouldn't do that. And when the receipts is ready to be shown, we're going to see if Portia actually shown them, because last night they kept asking for it and she did not show. So we have to stop with the double standards. The reunion was real good. The girls had on white. They looked it good. Everything looked it good. They outfits was out of this world. They looked good in their jewelry, their hair, and their makeup. Kudos to the girls that did a lot of their stuff on their own with this quarantine, staying 6 feet different, a distance apart from each other, and I'm so happy. Listen, the reunion was real good, but over here we're going to call it like we see it. And who did good on the read? Well, the winner of the reads is none other than Nene Leakes. We know that she is the read assassin and that she know how to read. And we also know that she is good at what she does and that she reads the fifth. So I'm going to say the winner of the reads for that night, part 1 of the reunion, is Nene Leakes. She be reading girls down. That's one thing I would not take away from her. She know how to read, and one of her antics is she talks real loud and try to overtalk the girls. But if you're going to do that, you have to have some good reads, and that she does. So anyway, I can't wait to part two next Sunday. Listen guys, if you love to see past the BS and you love bloggers that are not biased but call it exactly like we see it and call it like it is, then come on and hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you can know when another video is going. And yes, again, I am the king of Call It Like I See It, and y'all have a good night.